All right, so we've covered the difference between effective and effortless communication. Remember, filters, beliefs, experiences, all that stuff. So how do we effectively communicate then? 1, identify the intended result or goal of your communication. What's the desired outcome? Is it simply passing on information to somebody else? Is it to give them an overall goal of what you're looking for? Doesn't matter the path that they take to get to that point, as long as we get here. Is it that you want them to build the exact visualization of a building that you're visualizing in your head? Exactly. Which one is it? 2, determine the best form of communication based on what your overall intent is. Is it email, body language, Morse code, sign language? Whatever is the best form of communication based on your intent, that's what we're going for. Depending on the level of detail that you need to be transferred, that's probably going to determine what type or what the form of communication that you have, right? Is it text? Is it email? Is it phone call? In-person meetings? Multiple in-person meetings? Depending on the amount of detail that you need transferred, that's what's going to determine your form of communication. Let's use steel shop drawings as an example. Let's say they're reviewed. There's maybe a few comments and minor corrections that are needed. We need to send these to the architect. It's probably an email. Hey, please review this. I've made my comments. Please return by this specific date. Easy enough, right? You don't need a phone call. If there are major changes on the steel shop drawings or a lot of corrections, phone call might be warranted. You're not going to be able to send that through an email, right? You send it to the architect. They're going to wonder, why are you even submitting these to me? How did you not reject these and have them completely redesign them? They obviously are not getting the intent here. Or you actually call the detailer or the steel fabricator and ask them, what the heck? Do you have the right drawings? You know, where's the misunderstanding here? So either way, it's going to warrant a phone call. It has more detail. Something needs to be explained further than just corrections that are needed to effectively communicate at this point. Now, the third option is, what if they are extremely complicated steel shop drawings? Or not even extremely complicated, but what if we're on a time crunch? Something happened at the beginning of the project. There's a lot of somethings that happen at the beginning of a project, isn't it? It just happens that way. But we get the steel shop drawings. Well, we need them reviewed and responded to within 2 days in order to get the steel fabricated and delivered on site and erected to keep us on schedule. So in this case, we're going to have an in-person meeting, right, with anybody who needs to make a decision or review these shop drawings. Going to have maybe a 2 to 4 hour meeting. Everybody's reviewing these steel shop drawings, working as a team to effectively get the building built on time and then get them back to the fabricator to get them going. So again, depending on the amount of detail and what needs to be communicated, this is going to determine your form of communication. 3, be concise. Communicate your intent, but be brief. Too much information can convolute and dilute the overall intent. Oh, well, I need this today. Oh, you can't until tomorrow? Okay, well, tomorrow would probably be okay too. I think, yeah, we can work around that tomorrow. Yeah, so if you could just give it today or tomorrow, that would be great. What? Make a decision, okay? Have confidence. Make a decision, communicate, be concise. Now, this does not mean that you hold back important information, but it also doesn't mean that you give an hour explanation of something, okay? So make sure that it has all the information that is needed for them to get whatever your overall intent is, right? Give them all the tools necessary to set them up for success, to get them to that intent. But again, be brief, use the words necessary, all the information necessary, but cut it down as short as possible. If you hold back information, don't be surprised if that communication intent is not exactly how you intended it to be. 4, verify understanding. Inspect what you expect, right? Heard that before. Verify that they understand the majority of what was communicated. Again, it's probably not going to be 100% exactly how you imagined it, pictured it, visioned it, whatever. But as long as it's as close as you need it to be to get that intent communicated, that's what we're shooting for. Make sure that they understand the overall gist and the overall goal of what we're going for here. How do we do this? Do we ask them to state every word back to us to make sure that they understand? No, don't do that. That will effectively test their short-term memory and probably insult them, but don't do that. Communicate with them, ask them questions to see if they grasped that content, if they grasped that intent. Make sure that you give them the opportunity to ask questions to help them clarify any miscommunication or misunderstanding of what the intent was. But here's the important part. You need to make sure to listen to them. Don't hear what you want to hear. Truly listen to them to see if they gained the understanding of that intent. And if they have questions, listen to those questions. Listen to them. Don't answer them. Don't interrupt them before they're done asking them. Because again, we're all going to wind up disappointed in the end. So spend the time up front. Make sure that they are clear moving forward. They have the understanding of that overall intent. This is what's going to help us effectively communicate. In addition to this, we need to check our reaction. If we get angry, if we get frustrated that they're not understanding what I'm trying to tell them, like I've told you 3 times in the same way, maybe that's your problem. You need to be prepared to communicate it in a different way so that somebody can understand it. Remember their experiences and their filters. So be prepared to explain it in a different way if it's not sticking. Getting frustrated or angry is not going to get us results. Making sure that they understand the intent is going to get us results. So although it seems natural to be able to communicate effectively and 100% of intent 100% of the time, or even 50% of the time, this isn't the case. It does take work, making sure that we don't assume that everybody knows what we're trying to say, but that they actually do know what we are trying to say. That's going to get us results, and that is when communication is effective. As a recap, identify your desired outcome, choose the correct form, correct tool for the job, right? So choose your correct form of communication based on your intent, be concise, and then verify that they understand. Verify that the intent has effectively transferred. Did the message actually transfer in the way that we intended it to? Or did we just think it did? Or think that it should have? You got this. How? I don't know.